chair, and our very own Michael Carnes, all giggly this morning here. There he is, ladies and gentlemen! I'm smiling and waving at his camera because he's videotaping all of it. You're not going to sue me later or anything, are you?
Well, this is just in case. You know. Always have your bases covered. You know?
Oh boy! See, I've been telling people around here I don't want webcams in here. I don't want people to see what I do while the music is playing. There's just certain privacies out there, you know. This guy is. I'll tell you what. You know, if I would start here and read through his credentials, that would probably take up most of our time here. So I don't want to just buy the book and read him. But you guys all know Michael. He's been around here for quite a while. He moonlights with us. Does award-winning coverage of wrestling both at the college and high school level. We take advantage of that during the state wrestling tournament. Files those fantastic reports for us year in and year out. Does a little moonlighting with us. Did some football for us this last fall.
Yeah, did a little football. It's the first time I've done that in a long time, so those chops were a little rusty.
Yeah. But, he did fine. Did some basketball for us as well. And now add author to the resume. The book is called Call Me a Survivor. It's Michael's story about how he is a survivor of a sexual assault in your childhood, and probably changed your life forever.
It did. It's a life-altering event, and you know,
how would take us through, you know, from that day forward, and how that affected your adult life. Give us a few examples where you think that maybe affected you negatively.
Well, I think just the impact of what had happened just really impacted a lot of things, a lot of the way I lived my life. I just really had a lot of self-esteem issues and a lot of negative, I guess, interests.
Insecurity.
Yeah, and
how old were you when this happened?
I was 9 years old and lived in Newman Grove, Nebraska, which is just about a stone's throw from here, about 35 miles southwest. And it was the older brother of a classmate at school that I was at, and we just moved to town about 9 months earlier. So it was just one of those events that just has negatively impacted me for a long time.
Had he been stalking you? Did he pick you out, or did he just at random and?
It was just one of those things. A bunch of us were hanging out, talking, and he just showed up and took my bike for a ride, and then offered to give me a ride home. Instead, took me out behind the swimming pool and sexually assaulted me back there, and then told me that if I told anybody about it, he would hunt me down and kill me. And you know, you throw that into the head of a 9-year-old boy, that's going to invoke a certain amount of terror. And it was just one of those things where I lived the rest of well into my early adult life, you know, wondering if he was going to follow through on that, even after we moved away. You know, the nightmares, you know, continued for a long time.
What happened from there, though? Did you tell?
Oh yeah, I went home that night and, you know, ran in the house screaming and crying and everything. And my mom had been out looking for me. My dad was working the night shift at Lindsay Manufacturing, and when I told her what had happened, you know, she called Dad, and they
police called.
Got the police called, and then there were some people in town that were trying to pin what happened, that it was my fault. That I was the one to blame for doing this to this boy here in town. That
rapists are like that.
Yeah, it's exactly what.
It was her fault for that dress she was wearing. Yeah.
And so I just had a real negative self-esteem, and even with everything positive that has happened in my life, with, you know, between my daughter, who's going to be graduating from college here next May, and all the other great things that have happened in my life, and the awards that I've won for my newspaper writing and for everything else. You know, I just have had it for a long time, just a real negative self-image about myself, and it got to the point where I was literally 2 steps away from committing suicide. Standing along the Missouri River when I was living in South Sioux City about 5 or 6 years ago, and I guess at that moment I decided that, you know, something had to change, because I couldn't live like this anymore.
Call Me a Survivor is the name of the book. Going to do a book signing in town this weekend.
Yeah, going to be at Can Maytag Saturday morning from 9 to noon, and
okay.
Be signing books and
you can buy the book.
You can buy the book there.
Okay. You can download it on your Kindle.
It's also available on, right now, the only other place it's available is on Amazon.com. You can buy the print version of the book online, or you can, if you have an Amazon Kindle, you can download it on your Kindle and read it there.
All right. Well, meet Michael over at KEXL coming up this Saturday. Quick break here. He's not going anywhere. He's going to hang around with us. It's a wake-up show, 7:09. All right. Michael Karn's our guest this morning here. He is now an author. Call Me a Survivor. A book that he's written about the fact that he is a survivor of a childhood sexual assault. This happened in 1976.
Yep, back in 1976, 9 years old.
Your the perpetrator is free today.
Yes.
He's still alive. You know who he is. Does he know who you are?
I don't know if he knows who I am or not. I guess I don't haven't worked well trying to figure out what people who sexually assault children do for thinking. So I don't know if he knows.
What's
knows
his
them around.
status with the legal system right now?
Well, he's a level 3 registered sex offender. Lives here in Norfolk, and I inadvertently got an opportunity to help him out with that 20 years ago when I was, or about 15 years ago, I was working at the Norfolk Daily News.
I want to come back around to that because I want to spend a little time on that, and I don't have the time in this segment here, but just to go back to the original assault in 1976, he was a juvenile at the time.
He was a juvenile as well.
So what happened?
Well, he got basically got probation, and the probation officer was a local pastor, and the local pastor actually caught him sexually assaulting somebody and didn't report it while he was on probation, and it was. So
that protectionist thing.
Yeah, it was. You know, we didn't take childhood sexual assault very seriously back in that time and age, and it was boys will be boys type of thing, and so you know, obviously he didn't learn the lesson.
Yeah, well, and it was. Society was different right then, so that's how things go. But it's a lot different today. And today, what is his status with the legal profession? You said he's a level...
He's a level 3 sex offender, which is the highest...
So what does that mean? Do you know?
Basically, he is likely to reoffend, and or is most likely to reoffend, I guess would be the way to describe it.
So he has to register everywhere he goes. He can't live anywhere without that being public record.
If he moves across the street, if he moves down the hall from the apartment complex he lives at, he's got to notify the state of Nebraska about the change of address, or he's in violation of law.
Michael is going to be at KEXL this Saturday from 9 until about noon. You can buy the book, Call Me a Survivor. You can download it to your Kindle, Amazon.com as well. So he's going to hang out the whole hour. Well, I might kick you out a little before that, but you can hang out for as long as you like.
I gotta beat the rush hour traffic back to Wayne.
Yeah. So. Let's see, that runs from about 7:50 to 7:52.
That Hoskins to Winside area, that's brutal.
That's murder on that clover leaf over there, I got to tell you. All right, Joe's coming up with sports. How about Kobe Bryant? 30,000 last night. 30,000 points. 7:25 on the Wake Up Show. And our special guest this morning is Michael Karns. He's the guy doing those wrestling reports. I tell you what, he has been honored many times over for his coverage of wrestling over the years. And he's written a book, Call Me a Survivor, which has little to do with sports. It has to do with him being, if you're just joining us, the survivor of a childhood sexual assault. So we kind of covered what all happened around the case. You were 9 years old. This was 1976, and now here it is, about 5 years ago.
It's actually about 15 years ago.
15 years ago.
Yeah.
You're cruising through the paper.
Yeah, I was working at the Norfolk Daily News, and I was a sports writer at the Daily News at the time, and also was doing an afternoon talk show on WJG at the time. And one afternoon, I was waiting for a page to get spit out of the processor, and we happened to have a page pasted up that had the court record on it. Had no reason to look at it other than that it was right there in front of me, and I was just kind of laughing to myself, and I wonder if there's somebody I know on here. I got about halfway down the list.
That's the only reason anybody reads the court news.
I got about halfway down the list, and by golly, there was somebody I knew on there, and it was him. And he'd been arrested for sexual assault of a vulnerable adult. And I went to...
and the beat goes on.
Yeah, it was just like an instant flashback to what had happened to me 20 years earlier. And I went
Were
to
you compelled to action?
Yeah, at that point, I told my boss, I said, I gotta go, I gotta do something, and I went over to the courthouse and looked up the case, and then went and talked to the county attorney to ask him if there was some way I could help him get this guy the maximum sentence in prison. and of course the maximum sentence was only 5 years, but he was only looking at maybe 1 to 2 years, the way that the judge normally sentenced these cases. And
kind of like Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah, and the county attorney encouraged me to write the district judge a letter and explain my connection to the case and why I feel he should get a stronger sentence. And the judge actually referred to the letter when he sentenced him that day, when he had his sentencing hearing, and ended up sentencing him to the maximum 5 years in prison. He only served 2 because of credit for time served and good behavior and everything, but he ended up getting registered as a level 3 sex offender, and so it was justice 20 years late, but it was a certain sense of justice for me there.
So, did that help close the book somewhat on the case for you? Because you said we didn't get into this, but about 5 years ago, you're standing on a bridge in South Sioux City looking at the Missouri River.
Well, it did to a certain extent. I guess allowed me some closure on what had happened to me, but the negative self-esteem issues were still there, and just it seemed like the farther, the faster I tried to get away from it, the closer it got. And
did you sense at the time that this was the reason for why you struggled in so many areas in life, that it went back to the Newman Grove swimming pool in 1976?
It seemed like that was that was always in the back of my mind, that that event that had happened had affected me so negatively that no matter what kind of success I had, or no matter what accolades I got, or positive comments I got from people and everything, it just,
you couldn't beat that down.
Couldn't knock it down. And eventually it was just one day I was standing along the river, thinking, all I need to do is take 2 steps forward, and all these problems are gone. And then I thought about what that would do to some of the people in my life, most notably my daughter. My daughter's going to be a college graduate here in about 6 months, and I wouldn't have got to see her high school graduation. And she's going to be graduating here about 6 months from now, and
that's very big of you, because suicide is the ultimate act of selfishness.
It is.
It's the ultimate act of selfishness. I had a friend who did it, and you don't think about the wreckage left behind and what you do to other people. Mm-hmm. They fail to realize what a blessing you are to so many other people in their lives too. And for some reason, you just quickly erase all of that when you're there. But you didn't. No,
it didn't. I kind of walked away from it, and at that point, I was working at the newspaper in South Sioux City, and I just felt like I needed to do something.
Why did you write the book? When did you get to the point where I need to write a book about this?
Well, I was at my friend's house in Denver this past summer, and his air conditioner had gone out a day before I got there, so it was ungodly hot at that point in time.
He just forgot to tell you that before you got there.
Well, he did tell me the day of. By the way, I have no air conditioning. Thanks a lot, Kevin. Appreciate that. And middle of the night, I woke up. I was just couldn't sleep. I was hot and everything, and a little voice popped up and said, "It's time to write the book." And
the book. So you had thought of this.
I'd been thinking about writing a book for a while, not exactly on this topic, but that is what came to mind that night, that it's time to write the book about your experience and get it out there and try to help people who have been through what you've been through.
That's the answer to my next question. That's why you wrote the book, to help other people?
Yes, that's this is what I've been through, and I've been able to do some things in my life that have helped me to break away from the mentality of being a victim and look at myself as a survivor. And I think that's the biggest hurdle to get over.
Has it helped?
It's helped out tremendously. It was big relief to get the book finished and get it on the web and everything.
Because you never shared this with hardly anybody. I mean, who knew about this?
Outside of family and friends, I didn't share it for a long time. I have written a couple of columns about it, and every time I had written something about my own experience, I would get phone calls and emails and Facebook messages from people who are like, thank you so much for sharing your experience. This happened to me when I was a kid. I've never been able to talk about it until today. And I was like, you know, how many people are out there? I mean, 1 in 6 boys and 1 in 4 girls, by the time they're 18 years old, are sexually assaulted in this country. You know, so how many kids are out there? How many people are out there, you know, with this darkness in their lives?
So you're just getting out here with the book right now, but what's been the initial response?
I've had a lot of really good response. I've had a lot of people call and you know, thank me for writing the book and said they read it in one night. It's 136 pages, so it's not War and Peace by any stretch of the imagination. But
it's a nifty read. I mean, it is. It's in paperback. It's really easy to go through. You could probably get through it in a couple of sittings here, but you know, an impactful book.
Yeah, my